Today's video is a little bit different because it's unique. We'll call it unique because this hasn't happened for a very long time. We've had Brilliant Stars, we've had Evolving Skies, we've had Fusion Strike, we've had all these sets that have come out over the past several years where pre-order pricing was like super expensive on singles, and then a set came out and then boom, crash like a week after or a day after the set released. Prices just tanked. And now we're looking at Astral Radiance, and things are a little bit different. Now, there's some market manipulation going on for sure, and we're going to talk about that later this week, but some cards are holding super, super well and actually gaining, and we haven't seen things like that since Zacian V, since Reshiram and Charizard GX, since Mewtwo and Mew GX, since Jirachi from Team Up. Very, very rarely do cards go up in price after a set releases, so I'm super excited about today's video. What is going on, Fan Clan? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Danny Phantump. I'm in a really, really good mood. I'm just excited. I'm motivated. I'm energized. I'm just really, really happy to be here talking to you guys. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen. If you like what you hear, please hit that subscribe button down below. Leave a like, leave a comment, because it does go a long way for the algorithm. I really, really appreciate you guys so much. We're going to jump into things right away. We're going to look at Astral Radiance because it is very interesting. We talked about this. We talked about pull rates. We talked about how things aren't quite as good with pull rates as what we originally were anticipating, because there are so many trainer gallery cards and then those Radiant cards, which really add to kind of the flavor of Astral Radiance. But when you break it down to actual ultra rares, and we talk about gold cards, we talk about secret rares, we talk about rainbow rares, we talk about actual ultra rares, it's less in Astral Radiance than what it's been for the past couple of sets. So it's actually not getting as many actual hits as what we originally were thinking, because we open up these boxes that have 15, 16 hits, but most of them are made up of trainer gallery cards, Radiant cards, so it's kind of taking away, but still at the same time adding value to the box because those are still unique cards. Astral Radiance is interesting because we thought a lot of people weren't going to be super interested in this set. They're preparing for Pokemon Go, which looks super fantastic, and then they're preparing for the next Sword and Shield set, which comes out at the end of August, which kind of caused Astral Radiance to go down in pricing. So if you look right here, this box on the left is about a week prior to release. So you can see May 23rd is when the market was kind of shifting downward for Astral Radiance. So about a week before release, we were looking at high prices of $129.19, which happened at the end of April, and then things kind of went down to the point where they're at $110.57 as a 1 month low, as a low for Astral Radiance. And then after the set released, it went down even further. As you can see here, it went down, a market price went down to about $104 here, right around May 23rd, right after we looked last time. Went down to about $104. You can find booster boxes on eBay for about $100. You might still be able to, but now it's started creeping up a little bit. Now I think people are getting a little bit more excited. They're seeing these hit rates. They're seeing all of these cards be pulled, these alternate arts, and they're thinking, oh, I want to do that too. I want to pull these cool trainer gallery cards. I want that Starmie. I want that Garchomp. And they're looking at, it's kind of bringing the price back up. So we're looking at a market price right now of $108.51 over the past week. It's actually gained quite a bit of steam. And if you look at the sales, the sold listings on TCG Player, this set is selling like crazy. It is selling like hotcakes. So it'll be very interesting to see how well this set continues to perform over the next several weeks. But if we look at singles, singles are what are very, very interesting to me. So we see a lot of red here. But when we look at sets in the past, it has been 40, 50, 60% drops. And if you're talking about some of the trainer gallery cards, like what we saw from Brilliant Stars, in some cases, we saw 80%, 90% drops. We saw those gold bird cards from Brilliant Stars, the Zapdos, the Articuno, and the Moltres all dropped close to 90% 1 week after release. Well, here we are, a week after Astral Radiance comes out, and we're seeing percentage drops closer to 20%. 30%, nowhere near what we've seen in the past, nowhere near what we saw with Evolving Skies, nowhere near what we saw with Battle Styles, Chilling Reign, Fusion Strike, or Brilliant Stars, where we saw 60, 70% drops. Now, there's a couple of more significant drops, and there's some that are actually kind of surprising. So we're going to kind of go through things here. We've got the alternate art Dialga V, which was the most expensive card when it came to pre-order pricing. This was the card that you spent the most on. It has dropped 29%, not a bad drop at all, down to about $78. This is the lowest near mint copy that you can buy on TCG Player. Now, you might be able to find it for cheaper elsewhere, but $78, not too bad of a hold when you're considering the fact that these pre-order single prices were prior to release. People opened up a ton of product, a ton of Astral Radiance opened up, and then all of a sudden it dropped down only 29% when usually you're looking at 40, 50% drop. When you look at the alternate art, or the origin form Palkia V, the alternate art, you're looking at 64.95. That's only a 13.38% drop, so that's not bad at all. Then we've got the Arita, which suffered a little bit more more substantial of a drop, but still only about 37.5%. It's currently sitting at $34.99. And then we've got the Origin Form Palkia V-Star Gold card, kind of similar, 37.69% drop down to $42.98. But I think as we move forward, as we look here, we're going to look at some really interesting data here that kind of goes to show that people are really kind of gravitating towards these gold cards and towards the alternate arts. Rainbow rares are what are dropping more substantially, with the exception of this Origin Form Palkia V-Star Rainbow Rare, which only dropped 13.5% down to $38. But that is also because the card is so playable that if you look at just the regular art version of the card, it's selling for very, very close. If we look at the Machamp V, and this is what I said we're going to talk about later in the week when we talk about market manipulation and things like that. Lovely card, love the artwork. This jumped up to the most expensive card in the set overnight. It's currently sitting at $122.99 and selling at that price. So $120 to $130 is kind of where it rebounded to, and a lot of sales kind of happened at that point. Now it's sitting at $122.99. That's a 112% increase from where it was pre-ordering. So absolutely insane when we look at that. The Hisuian Samurott V-Star Gold card, this one dropped a little bit more substantial, so you're looking at a 44% drop here, down to $24.70. But if we look at the Origin Form Dialga V-Star, the other gold card, this one actually gained ground, 2.46%. So you could have pre-ordered this card for cheaper than what it's selling for right now, which is right around that $38 mark. If we look at the Darkrai V-Star, again, very, very strong hold, and what's surprising about this one is it's not as competitive as its counterpart right next to it, the Palkia V-Star. Darkrai V-Star does have potential, but when you start having two V-Stars, multiple V-Stars in a set where you actually have decent pull rates on V-Stars, not great pull rates, but better pull rates than what you would see from a lot of those higher rarity cards, when these are selling for double digits and they're starting to sell for a decent amount, way better than what those VMAXs sold for when VMAXs were getting produced prior to V-Stars, that's really, really, that says a lot of really good things about a booster box and about a set. $29.95 for this one. It's up 0.25%, so not far, not much of a gain, but it's kind of staying flat, which is really interesting. If we look at the Origin Form Palkia V-Star, it's up about 1% to $34.31. But again, lots of this being opened, lots of this card being played. It's performing extremely well. Maybe not as good as what people were hoping for, but still a really, really good card, kind of shaking up the meta, and we'll see how it does in Milwaukee Regionals in a couple weeks. I hope I get to see you guys there. They do have spectator passes on available now. They're not. You don't want to pay anything. You just have to go register for a spectator pass if you want to just come hang out. It's going to be super cool. But that's in a couple weeks. $34.31 is where it's currently sitting. The Gardenia's Vigor has dropped a decent amount. So this is kind of the biggest drop that we've seen so far. 49% down to $18.75. Then we've got the Gold Double Turbo Energy. Again, not too bad of a drop, sitting at $26.95, which is just under a 31% drop. Not too terrible at all. If we look at the Roxanne, that one dropped 32.28%. Again, not bad for a full art drop. We're used to seeing 40, 50, 60% for new sets. So these kind of chilling around 30% is really, really good. $21.99 is where it's currently sitting. If we look at the Hisuian Lilligant V-Star, this is what we're more expecting to see. So this is down to $11.14 for a Rainbow Rare. And this is what I'm talking about Rainbow Rares just not being in demand as much as what their counterparts are. So $11.14 is what this fell down to. So you could buy a Rainbow Rare, which is like 1 per 2.5 boxes right now. The pull rates on it are terrible. 63.77% of a drop. Path to the Peak dropped 30%, down to $21.54. Again, not too bad of a drop. And then if we look at the Hisuian Sneasler, can probably kind of chuck that alongside the Machamp as something weird going on. $70.99, jumped up 34% from where it was pre-ordering from, which is absolutely insane. Choice Belt, not a bad drop at all. 26.85%, down to $22.12. The Gardenia's Vigor Rainbow Rare, again, very, very interesting. 43% drop. So if we look up here, $18.75 for the full art version, $13 for the Rainbow Rare version. So that's a significant difference between those two. 43% drop on that one. The Temple of Sinnoh, 12.89%. So almost a single digit drop on that one, down to $20. And then we've got the Hisuian Lilligant V. The one alternate art that I haven't pulled is actually not doing too bad at all. 15.49% is what the drop was. So this one's relatively cheap compared to the other alternate arts, which have all gone up in price. This one's currently sitting at $24.49. If we look at the Beedrill V, that one's up like crazy. It was $24 for pre-order pricing. It went up 85.5%. So now it's sitting at $44.95. The Origin Form Palkia V is the regular art card to watch right now. It dropped 15% down to $14.99. Not a bad drop at all. When you see some of these regular art V cards selling for double-digit pricing, anywhere from $10 to $15, that makes it very, very good to kind of open up a box and feel like, oh, well, I might be able to get some of my value back if I just open up this Palkia V, because it does have a little bit of value associated with it. And those V cards are a lot easier to pull. You're going to get anywhere between 4 and 5 for every box that you open. The Garchomp V also went up 18% to $38.99. Now, this is a Trainer Gallery card. We're looking at the back end of Trainer Gallery cards, which are a little bit more difficult to pull, but still, we saw substantial drops of 40 to 50% on a lot of those harder to pull Trainer Gallery cards in Brilliant Stars. The Garchomp V is doing really well. Pre-order pricing seemed to be a little bit down on this. People are willing to pay that $38, $39 price point right now. That's why it's up 18%. Same thing with the Starmie V, up 46% right now, 45.5% to $47.97. Very, very interesting. Then we've got some other Trainer Gallery cards here. So the Galarian Zapdos V dropped 33% down to $13. The Shadow Rider Calyrex VMAX dropped 31% down to $9.99. Then we've got the Ice Rider Calyrex, $1 cheaper, dropped a little bit more, $39.95 or 39.95% down to $8.99. And then we've got Bay, which dropped 38.76% down to $9.15. Still not too bad for a Trainer Gallery card. Then we've got this Ice Rider Calyrex V. That dropped 33.96%, so almost 34% down to $8.83. The Melanie is holding really, really well. It dropped 9% down to $10.99. The Galarian Articuno V dropped a little bit more. Again, this is what I was talking about. These are more typical of what we've seen with some of these Trainer Gallery drops. This one dropped 47.19% down to $9.48. The Galarian Moltres V dropped almost 31% down to $14.50. And then we've got the Zacian V, not bad at all, 23.65% of a drop down to $11.49. Then we've got a couple unique cards in here. The Radiant Greninja dropped 60.73%, which I think a lot of us expected, maybe even expecting a little bit more than that with how easy it is to pull these Radiant cards. You're getting somewhere around 2 per box usually on average. So you open up a box, you're probably going to pull a Radiant Greninja, which is why it's only selling for $3.24. But it'll be interesting to see what happens with the meta moving forward. If all decks are playing a Radiant card, if they're all playing Radiant Greninja, a lot of decks are going to need, kind of 4 copies of this, right? Or 3 copies of this, or whatever the case may be. Irida selling for $2.49. You have just a holo rare trainer right there. Not too bad of a price point. It's gone down 6.74%, which is single digits for just a holo rare is really, really good. And then we've got Dark Patch, which will be interesting to see. It did drop 18.85% down to 99 cents, but it'll be interesting to see as we move forward if people can make Darkrai work, if people can make Dark decks work, how needed, what necessity level will be for Dark Patch. Aqua Patch was a big thing back when Guardians Rising originally came out, but so much of Guardians Rising was open, kind of like what we're seeing with Astral Radiance. So much is being opened. Aqua Patch never really came to fruition. There wasn't a whole lot of water decks that people were throwing it in. It's a lot is going to depend on what Dark does in the format moving forward, but the fact that these cards are getting pulled in masses because so much product is being opened means that Dark Patch will probably stay relatively cheap. Might change a lot moving forward on what we have to do as store owners, or what we look at when it comes to kind of pricing staples and things like that moving forward. But I thought Astral Radiance was really, really interesting because there are so many cards here that drop single digits or kind of low 20-30%. You'll have to let me know in the comments section down below what you think of Astral Radiance, what you think of these drops or of these increases. Like I said, we'll talk about the market manipulation and the theories on that kind of at the end of the week, probably on Friday when we do our Evolving Skies booster box giveaway, which, by the way, if you're not entered for that, go back, watch the video that we posted on Friday. All you have to do is leave a like, leave a comment, and then make sure you're subscribed, and boom, you are entered to win that booster box this upcoming Friday. Guys, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to me ramble for 15 minutes. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much for everything. Hit that subscribe button down below if you haven't already. Leave a like and a comment for the algorithm. Until next time, guys. Peace.